Let me check again the waiting room. And now is good. I will share my screen. Elena, can you feedback if you can see my screen?
It's loading. Now we can see it.
Perfect, thank you. So give me a second because someone is in the waiting room again. And now I think we can start. So welcome everyone. My name is Boris Duché. I'm the product manager at IDS in charge of the Ensenso products. And today is the market introduction of the new Ensenso B series. So it will be released very soon. And we want to provide some slightly in advance information so you know what this product is about. So Ensenso B series, in a few words, product positioning, the Ensenso B is very close to the Ensenso C in terms of electronics. The Ensenso C and the Ensenso B share most of the electronics. I will explain why it is different still. So the Ensenso portfolio starts, you can say, from the Ensenso S to the Ensenso X. What will differ from one Ensenso to the other is the resolution, of course, and the data quality you get out of the camera. So 1.6 megapixel sensor in the Ensenso S and up to 5 megapixel sensors in the Ensenso B, C, and X. But it's not only about the data quality, it's also about the acquisition speed. So I don't like to say that the Ensenso S is less good than the Ensenso X because it is also faster. So with Ensenso product, it's always a trade-off between data quality and acquisition speed. As you know, it is true for every Ensenso in the product line. Depends how you set up the camera and depends the models that you select, of course. So Ensenso B positioning in terms of price, the Ensenso B is slightly lower to the Ensenso C with a small baseline. As a reminder, I will come back to the difference between the Ensenso B and the C, but the C was released in September 2024, and it is available today with two different baselines. So Ensenso B and Ensenso C, what is the difference? In the Ensenso C, whatever the baseline that you use, you have two 5 megapixel monochrome sensors and you have one additional 2 megapixel color sensor. The Ensenso B, it has natively two 5 megapixel color sensors. So it is the same sensor model than the Ensenso C, but it's a color version instead of a monochrome version. So why do we choose a color sensor instead of a monochrome sensor? You know that in 2D imaging, when you take the same sensor as a monochrome variant or as a color variant, of course, you have the color information with the color sensor, but you will lose some resolution, some spatial resolution because of the Bayer patterns that you have on top of the sensor. Actually, the monochrome version and the color version of a sensor, it is exactly the same sensor, only on top of the color sensor, you have this Bayer pattern, sorry for my accent. You have this Bayer pattern, and the result is a slight loss of resolution, spatial resolution. If you zoom in into a color image, usually the quality that you get is slightly lower than the monochrome version. With 3D cameras, it's exactly the same. So we decided to put two color sensors inside because the data accuracy that we get out of this camera, as you will see later, the data accuracy is already extremely good. So we decided that it's worth to have color information natively integrated into the sensors, let's say. With the Ensenso C, we had a different strategy. We have two monochrome sensors to optimize the data quality, and we have an additional color sensor so that the color from this color sensor is mapped over the 3D data that you get out of this device. The problem that you face with this solution, so the data quality in terms of 3D data quality is better with this solution, but some customers did feedback that the field of view of the 2D sensor does not match 100% with the field of view of the 3D, of the point cloud. And we had, in the design of the Ensenso C, we decided to go with a 2 megapixel sensor, while the stereo vision sensors are 5 megapixels, because the color sensor has an impact on the bandwidth, on the maximum frame rate that you can get out of the camera. With Ensenso cameras, it's always the same, except for the XR, that is slightly different, but the camera captures the images are sent to the PC, and on the PC level, the driver of the camera is responsible to compute the depth information out of the images. So when you have 3 sensors with the Ensenso C, 2 monochrome plus 1 color sensor, you have to send these 3 images to the PC for the driver to compute the depth information. And of course, that requires a lot of bandwidth, and that has an impact on the maximum acquisition speed. So by choosing the 2 natively color sensors for the Ensenso B, that permits to increase the frame rate. And because you will understand later, the Ensenso B is designed for small working volumes, and the data quality is extremely good with color sensors. That's the idea. So for the sensors, we have color sensors instead of monochrome sensors, and the projector unit of the Ensenso C is blue, while the projector unit of the Ensenso B is green. And that is actually pretty easy to understand. I will show you a few graphs, and you will understand. So with the Ensenso C, if you look at the quantum efficiency curve of the sensor that we use inside the camera, so quantum efficiency curve, what does it mean? It just gives you the sensitivity to light according to the bandwidth in the spectrum. And what you can see when you look at the QE curve of the sensors used in the Ensenso C, you see they are very sensitive in the blue spectrum. This is why we have a blue projector. Okay, so that we have a maximum contrast, you can lower the exposure time, and you can increase the acquisition rate. With the Ensenso B, we have color sensors, and because of the Bayer patterns that you have on the color sensors, a color sensor is most of the time is not, if not always, more sensitive to green. So because we have color sensors inside the Ensenso B, we have a green projector. That is the reason why. Okay. So another key difference between the Ensenso B and the Ensenso C is the baseline. So what is the baseline? That is the distance you have between the 2 sensors that permits to do the stereo vision. The larger the baseline, the higher the data accuracy, but of course, large baseline means high footprint, and quite often it increases the cost because the housing is bigger usually. So the Ensenso B has a small baseline. It is, once again, you will see it later, it is optimized for small working volumes, but also it is focused at a closer distance. If you look at the Ensenso C57 with the small baseline, the focus point is at 975 millimeter, while the focus point of the Ensenso B is at 350 millimeters. That permits to optimize the data quality for short working distance and small working volumes. So in a nutshell, Ensenso B, it is very similar to the C, but optimized for these small working volumes with increased data quality for this small working volume. Now, once again, to compare the Ensenso B with the Ensenso C, I would like to share with you some information, some curves. The curves that you can see in here, it is the accuracy in Z for the Ensenso C57, 12 millimeter focal length, small baseline. So this is a pretty high Z accuracy. So the lower, the better when you talk about Z accuracy. You can see this camera can work roughly from 900 to 1060 millimeter. This is the optimal working range for this camera. And you can see we have a Z accuracy up to below 0.1 millimeter. It's a very good Z accuracy for this working range, let's say. Now we have different variants of the Ensenso C with the small baseline. We have the 12 millimeter, but we also have the 8 millimeter. When you choose the Ensenso C57 with the 8 millimeter lens, The accuracy is slightly less good, but you will increase the working range that you can achieve with the Ensenso camera, with the Ensenso C. Now there is a third model available with a small baseline in the Ensenso C57 portfolio. That is the C57 with a 6 millimeter focal length inside the camera. Once again, that will decrease a little bit the Z accuracy. Once again, when you look at this graph, the lower means the better. So the C57 with 6 millimeter lenses will decrease a little bit the Z accuracy, but the counterpart is you will increase the working range that you can work with. Now let's compare this C57 small baseline with the Ensenso B. As you can see, with the Ensenso B in the short working range and for small working volumes, you can achieve a very, very high, pretty crazy high, let's say, Z accuracy of 0.045 millimeter. I will show you an example what it looks like. But also the depth range that you can achieve with this camera is very high. What does it mean for your application? It means you can have the camera mounted on the robot. You can go very close to the scene and have a very high data quality, or you can take the camera far away from the scene. It will lower the data quality, of course, but yet it will work. You will get some data. So, of course, it's always a trade-off between the data quality you want to achieve and the field of view that you want to image. The Ensenso B comes with color sensors. And I explained to you before that color sensor has an impact on the 3D data quality. Actually, it is possible for IDS to provide you with a monochrome version of the camera. So 0.45 millimeter accuracy is already very, very good. But if for any reason you say that you do not need the color information and you want to improve the accuracy again, IDS can provide you with a prototype version of the camera that we already have in-house that comes with monochrome sensors and, of course, with increased data quality. And now, just to give you an idea what it looks like, this very high data quality, I made a point cloud to share with you with the Ensenso B with the monochrome sensors. So the prototype we have in-house, and we could also loan to you. We could loan to you the base version with color sensors, or we could loan to you the monochrome version of the camera. So let me open the software. So this software that you can see in here, it is the software named Cloud Compare. Elena, can you feedback if you can see Cloud Compare on my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. So this software is named Cloud Compare. This is not a software by IDS. This is a freeware that you can download online, and we like to use it for visualization purpose of a point cloud. It's pretty easy to use. And what I opened is just the first point cloud that I made myself with an Ensenso B camera. The Ensenso B camera that I had myself to play with was this prototype with the monochrome sensors. This is why you don't have the color information on this point cloud. So this is the first acquisition I made. It's an acquisition of my fist. And my fist covers roughly a third of the field of view at a distance of roughly 30 centimeters, to give you an idea. And what I want to show you, because this is very impressive, I think, in terms of data quality, when I zoom in on my fist, and especially if you look at my thumb in here, you can see that the camera is able to restitute in 3D my fingerprints in here. So this is just to give you an idea what kind of data quality we can achieve with this camera. So if you wonder what it means to have an accuracy of 0.045 millimeter, and you try to figure out what it means, you can remember that you can achieve a resolution that permits to see your fingerprints. So I think that is pretty impressive. Now, before I move on to the other slide, I would like to show you how I could compute these curves, because quite often we get the request from customers, how do I compare different Ensenso models together? So let me share my browser a second. So now we are on the IDS website, and you should know already the tools that we like to use to find the appropriate Ensenso camera for your application. It is the tool named the Ensenso Selector. So just as a reminder, from IDS website, you will go into Support, Online Tools, and Ensenso Selector. And there you will fill in some information about your workspace. So you need to fill in the information for pick and place application, the size of the bin. And if you are looking at another part, just roughly the dimension of the part. And you will fill the tool with the working distance, the distance from the camera to the scene. I will leave it to default now. And you have to know what camera family you want to use. We have 6 different camera families. You should know already what is the main difference from one camera family to the other. And if you are a little bit confused and you do not know which camera you should select, which camera family you should select, I suggest that you call your IDS sales representative and they will help you figure out which is the best for your application. In my case, I just want to show you how I can compare 2 cameras together and how I could compute my curves. So I will use the C57 that you can see in my presentation. Find camera for volume. And the tool will output the best matching camera. And if I want to see some other cameras, I just click the more cameras, additional cameras models in here. So I have different cameras that I would like to compare. We have a new feature since a few weeks available in the Ensenso selector. If you click on the camera, you will access the product page. The data graph that I just shown to you is coming from this page. It is the Z accuracy graph. But if you want to compare 2 cameras together, you can just, oh, it's not in here. So the data, the graphs that you see in here, they are computed out of the table that you see in here. And you can actually export this table as a CSV file, and you can export it for multiple Ensenso cameras, and then you can plot the graphs yourself via Excel file. And this is how I did to compute these different curves and to compare the different Ensensos together. So very straightforward process to do. Okay. So let's recap a little bit the specs of the Ensenso B. So the Ensenso B is very close to the Ensenso C, but optimized for small working volume, short working distances, and with color sensors inside. If you want to improve data quality and you do not need the color information, just ask IDS, and we have a prototype version of the Ensenso B with monochrome sensors. We can loan to you also, and we can make a product, a serial product out of this quite easily. We do not request very high volume opportunities. So the specification in a nutshell, so same kind of technologies that you find in most Ensenso cameras. So it's active stereo vision, so 2 sensors plus 1 additional projector unit. The baseline is 75 millimeters. That is the shortest baseline that we have in the Ensenso product portfolio. Vergence angle, this is the angle between the 2 cameras, 7 degrees. The resolution, 5 megapixels. This is the same sensor that you find in the Ensenso C, only the color version of the sensor. The IP grade, as always with Ensenso cameras, most of Ensenso cameras, IP65, IP67. Native color information, so you don't have anymore the problems that some of you faced with the Ensenso C, that the field of view of the color information does not match 100% with the field of view of the depth information. So of course, the color, the 2 images, the stereo images out of the Ensenso B are used to compute the depth information, but you can also access the native color image to run some machine vision algorithm, 2D machine vision algorithm of your own. The frame rate is not yet known. We are benchmarking the camera to test what is the maximum frame rate we can achieve. I think you know with Ensenso cameras, it's always a trade-off between data quality and maximum acquisition speed. So depending how you set up the camera, you will achieve different frame rate. And it also depends on the processing power that you have on the host side, okay? Because the images are sent from the camera to the PC, and the driver of the PC, of the Ensenso camera, will compute the depth information. So if you have a lot of processing power, it can go fast. If you have a Raspberry Pi, it will go a little bit slower. Now, if you need more information on the Ensenso B, the product is not yet released. So if you go again on the Ensenso camera selector, so once again, support online tools, Ensenso selector in here, you cannot yet find the Ensenso B because the product is not officially launched for now. This is preliminary information, but the Ensenso B will be available very soon. And if you want already to discuss the Ensenso B with some of your customers, which you can do, of course, and we would like you to tease your customers about the Ensenso B, you can already find some information. You just need to know a trick. If you don't remember it, just ask your sales representative and they will help you. If you know what to search for in the Ensenso camera selector, you find the specification of the Ensenso B, and you have all the specifications. You have the data graph that usually the customer like to use. And as always, you can download the data sheet and share it with your customer. So once again, this is a little trick that you need to know to access this product page. So you need to go in the camera selector. On the camera selector, usually you fill in some information concerning your workspace and you select the camera, but there is another way to use the selector, that is to find a camera with a known model name. And if you know the complete name of the Ensenso B, the one that I just wrote in here, you can find the product page that is not yet officially published. If you do not remember this complete name of the Ensenso B, just ask your IDS sales representative and he will send to you the data sheet directly. Now, I would like to take a minute to discuss a little bit about the competitors that you will face for this product. So the main competitors that we face against Ensenso cameras, they are the Chinese company MakeMind, and then Photoneo and Zivit. So MakeMind and Photoneo, they offer also products for this working range, this working volume, but the product that they sell comes with 3 megapixel resolution. So, give me a second. So 3 megapixel resolution while we have 5 megapixel resolution. So we have a competitive advantage in here. I think the biggest competitors that we will face in the future is the camera from Zivit, optimized for small working distance. It has the characteristics that are similar to the Ensenso B. I just want to show you a little bit of something that you can see if you dig in a little bit in the information that Zivit provides. This is not new, what I'm going to show you, but I think this is interesting. Oh, suddenly my link does not work. Give me a second. So this is what I want to show you. This is the product page of the Zivit camera that competes with the Ensenso camera. And what I want to show you, let's go and take a look at the data sheet of this camera. It's available online. And if you go in the data sheet of this camera, I find some information that is very interesting. So Zivit is not the only one in this situation. That is also true for MakeMind and for Photoneo product. Because of the technologies they use, they do not use a stereo vision technology. They use projected texture technology. And what you see in here is very important. A Zivit camera, but Zivit, they talk about it. Photoneo, they used to talk about it. They don't say it anymore. They say that you need a warm-up phase. What does it mean? Actually, it means that the data quality you get out of this competitor product based on so let me open my PowerPoint again. So these cameras based on French projection technology, they need a warm-up phase because there is a drift in data quality depending on the temperature, because with the dilatation of material, as it's getting hot or it's getting more colder, the dilatation of the material will have an impact in the projecting unit, and then you will have an impact on the data quality. So I think this is pretty interesting to know. We got the feedback, especially from Zivid and from Photoneo customer, coming to IDS because the camera was working good when they installed it. And after they had to reboot the system, or after the winter, or after a hot summer, they noticed that the data quality they got out of the camera was lower. And they came to Ensenso. Ensenso, to be fully honest with you, we had similar problems in the beginning, but Ensenso was the first to produce industrial 3D cameras, and this problem was solved long ago. So we don't see any anymore any quality drift depending on temperature. So what kind of use case can you address with the Ensenso B camera? So the Ensenso B was originally designed for a metrology application in PCB quality inspection. So because the data quality is extremely high, you can address metrology application for small working volumes, small surfaces. As always with Ensenso cameras, it's pretty easy to use multiple cameras together and merge all the point clouds. Just for your information, there will be in September a video that will be published to the IDS Vision channel and to the YouTube channel of IDS, and we will make a demo how to make a multi-camera setup with Ensenso B. That's a very straightforward process and permits to reconstruct a large part, but with small 3D acquisition to optimize the data quality. So metrology application, but also, as always, robot guidance application. So, whoops, sorry. So robot guidance applications, you know, the Ensenso camera families are extremely successful in pick and place application or pin picking application. With the Ensenso B, you can typically mount the camera on the arm of a 6-axis robot, and you can go very close to the scene so that you can make 3D acquisition of a very detailed, very small part for example, picking application or robot guidance application. But you know also that the Ensenso cameras, they are successful in the medical applications, mainly in comparison with the competitors, because the competitors are laser-based technology, so it's complex to address medical application, while the projector unit that we use on the Ensenso cameras is not laser-based, so you don't have high safety measures to take into consideration when you address any medical customer. So robot guidance and medical applications with the Ensenso B, of course, optimized for small working volume, small working distance when you need to have a very high data quality. That is the idea. So integrated RGB sensors, once again, I want to insist, the serial products that we will launch to the market comes with color sensor, with perfect color mapping, because it is a natively a 3D system based on color sensors. So you get a 3D point cloud with the color information. You can also access only the sensor color image to run some 2D machine vision algorithm. But also please keep in mind that if you do not need the color information and you want to optimize the data quality, we already have a prototype available with monochrome sensors and increased data quality. And this prototype could be produced as a serial product very easily. I think we will add it to the portfolio pretty soon, but that depends on you. Because the data quality we get out of the standard product with color sensors is already very, very high, we are not sure at the moment if there is a need to improve the data quality for more complex applications. That will be up to you to inform IDS and to let us know. So concerning the timing and the agenda, our sales colleagues from IDS were trained last month. And now we do the distributor training. This is what we do currently. And once again, this meeting is being recorded and will be available in the IDS Vision channel if some of your colleagues could not attend the meeting because it's holiday season already. Prototypes are available. We are building a loan pool. So we don't have a lot of cameras at the moment, but if you need to try out the camera, if you want to evaluate it, I suggest that you place your order already. But for important project, we have a few units already at IDS, and you know how it works. You can send part to IDS, and we make an acquisition of the part for you, or we may organize a loan. Only we don't have plenty of units for now. To launch the serial product, to make the serial launch, we are waiting for two things. We are waiting for the NRTL certificates, and we are waiting for the official SDK release, because of course, to operate this camera, you will need the latest version of the software. That is the SDK version 4.0. It should be available pretty soon, maybe before August, but it's not 100% sure because it's holiday season. But as soon as we have the certificate and the SDK release, then we can officially ship out the first serial units. If you see an interest, and we hope that you see an interest, you can already pre-order the camera right now. So just ask as your IDS sales representative to send you an offer, and they can already take the order and place it into the system. So as soon as we start the first serial production batch of cameras, we can ship one to you directly. So of course, I think it makes sense that most of you order a camera to test it, to evaluate it. In autumn, there will be a demo of this product during the Vision Show, of course, and in autumn, we will start the sales and marketing campaigns on this product. Now, I would like to remind you, as always, when we talk about Ensenso products, it's about the product, but it's also about the software. And whatever the Ensenso cameras that you use, in a pick-and-place application, we provide a software that is named Ensenso Part Finder, and it permits to localize a part in a 3D acquisition. So I want to demo it to you to remind you that we have this software too for a quite competitive price, and as always, very easy to use. So quick reminder how it works. So I have the NXU software. Just let me quit the presentation in here. So I have the NXU software in here. This is the software that you should know already. This is the software that is used to operate Ensenso cameras. And I have a point cloud, a fake camera that is a point cloud, you will see. It's not a fake camera, sorry. It's an acquisition that was made not with an Ensenso B, but with an Ensenso X. And I will use it to demo to use Ensenso Part Finder software. So that's what it looks like. So that's a real acquisition for pick-and-place application example that we made with our partners from Optonic. So as always, when you use the NXU software, you have the depth map where you can see an image in fake colors where each point gives you X, Y, Z values in millimeters. You have the left and right monochrome images coming out of the camera. In that case, this camera is an X36, so it has monochrome sensor inside. And you have the 3D point cloud that you can look out. Just let me pause it maybe. So this is the pick-and-place bin picking application that we are looking out right now. With the Pathfinder software that we provide with every Ensenso cameras, so we can provide you with an evaluation license. And I want to remind you how easy it is to evaluate this tool. It really takes a minute if you know what to do. If you have an evaluation license already installed on your computer, you just go into Tools, Pathfinder. You just need to load a CAD model of the part. So in that case, the tpipe.stl file. And then you will create a model. So the model creation for the pick-and-place application, for the matching application, let's say, you do it once outline. So it's not something you have to do every time you want to pick a place. You just do it once when you set up the installation. You have three different presets: fast, medium, and accurate. And you have a few parameters. They look complex, but believe me, they are absolutely not complex. So what changes when I go to fast? It means the angle of view of my part, there will be less possible options. If I go to accurate, my part can be seen from different angles of view. So it really depends how complex is your part. And if you look in detail in all the parameters you have in here, most of the time you don't have to take a look, but you can just overlay the mouse on top of the parameter, and you will have some information. And I just want to show you, it looks complex, angular discretization, but that's what it does. So if the part is extremely complex with a lot of very teeny detail, you want to have a low angular discretization. But if the part is pretty simple, there is no need to have so many to make it so complex. Huh? So all of these parameters you can play with. It's very visual. Some parts, there is absolutely no chance that they appear to the camera from all different positions. Sometimes there is some symmetry. And when you play with these different parameters, you can make the tool simpler, let's say. But most of the time, what you say is you just use one of the three different presets. Do you want your application to go fast, or do you need high precision? In my case, I will just use the medium preset. I will create the model. So once again, this is something that is done offline. So when you set up the system for the first time, and once your model is created, now we are in the production. Of course, the NXU software is just a demo software, and we will implement it in your own application. But now what I want to do is I want to localize the part in my 3D point cloud. Once again, I have the choice between fast, medium, and accurate. I will choose medium, and I will look for the model. So I'm running right now in a laptop, so I don't have a lot of processing power. And I will find 1, 2, 3, 4 different parts that we can see in here in my 3D point cloud. So that's my point cloud, and these are the 4 results that I found with the Ensenso Pathfinder. For each model that is found, I have a score. As a result, I have a score. So why I cannot see it. Okay, I have a visualization bug. Anyway, for each part, I have a score. I have surface coverage. It gives me the information that's pretty obvious how much of the surface is covered by the CAD model. And I have the XYZ position of the center of the part plus the rotation of the part. Then you can communicate this position with the robot. Hopefully, you have calibrated the camera and the robot so that they work in the same coordinate system, and you can just pick the part. So once again, Pathfinder, very easy to set up and easy to use. Takes really a few minutes if you are used to it. We provide to you an evaluation license for free. The license is valid for 1 month. And yeah, then you can quite easily, I think, implement any pick and place or robot guidance application. So that's just a reminder. Ensenso Pathfinder is available within every Ensenso cameras. You can request the trial license to your IDS sales representative. Yeah, and available for all Ensenso cameras. So now we have roughly 15 minutes, I would say, for questions. So please feel free to ask me anything about the Ensenso B, about Pathfinder, or in general about Ensenso cameras. If I have no questions, it means it was very clear. But now is a good time. So I insist. Okay, then I would say if we have no question today, you can request this presentation, the slides to be sent to you. You can request a slide to your IDS sales representative. Once again, this meeting is being recorded. It will be available in the IDS Vision channel. Just a quick reminder how to find the IDS Vision channel from the website. So IDS home website, you have the Vision channel available in here. And when you click in here, you have our latest videos. A demo of the Ensenso B product will be made in September and published to the Vision channel also. It will be a demo of the Ensenso B in the case of a multi-camera setup, because this is something very unique about our products that our customer likes a lot. So remember to take a look every now and then to look if there is any new video. I thank you very much for participating. And if you did not go to holiday already, I wish you a very nice holiday season. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Boris. Bye. Thank you. Bye.